The Whispers That Drove Me Mad, a family drama in 4 walls. Act 1. The Invasion of Silence. I live with schizophrenia, and until recently, we had achieved a fragile truce. The voices, those disembodied tenants of my mind, had fallen silent, leaving me with a long-awaited, almost sacred peace. But that respite ended the moment Nadia, my sister-in-law, and my wife Clara's sibling, moved into our house. With her arrival, the silence shattered, and I believed she had set out to drive me insane. It all began with a whisper, vague, elusive, like the hiss of a snake. It always seemed to emanate from the corner where Nadia stood. When I turned to ask what she had said, her face would adopt a mask of deep yet false concern, and she would reply, "Nothing, dear, you must have imagined it." My certainty rested on a chilling logic. These phantom voices, this toxic trail of sound, arose exclusively in her presence. They were her shadow, her instrument. Months passed under this silent yet piercing acoustic terror until my nervous system finally collapsed. The first breakdown was quiet, voiceless. I lay in the darkness, tears streaming down my cheeks, desperately repeating the mantra, "It's just her, it's not madness, it's her." But a few weeks later, a second, more violent blow struck. That is when I told Clara everything. I expected horror, an accusation against her sister. Instead, all I saw in her eyes was pure, unadulterated anxiety for me. "Nadia would never do such a thing," Clara insisted, her voice sounding like a brittle wall I was trying to breach. "She loves you." These words didn't reassure me. They pushed me to the edge. Nadia's whispers felt too tangible, too rhythmic to be merely auditory hallucinations. Act 2. The Obsession with Proof. I became a detective. I watched Nadia like a cat watching a mouse. I noted her peculiarities, the muttering she immediately cut short when I approached, the frozen poses and doorways, as if she were listening to a tune only she could hear. I strained my hearing, searching for one clear, incriminating word that would be my salvation, my proof that I was not drowning. But the harder I listened, the more meaningless the sounds became. Clara saw me wasting away, saw how my obsession with Nadia was displacing me from reality. Her patience was wearing thin. Despite taking my medication diligently and visiting my psychiatrist regularly, who, by the way, adjusted the dosages, attempting to suppress the auditory hallucinations, the whispering continued. Each new pill offered hope that died the instant Nadia came near. I was convinced she was whispering just low enough for me to hear, but not loud enough for me to catch her out. She was playing a cruel game, and I was her puppet. One evening, in the hallway, I heard it. A whisper, this time distinct, a sinister, short sound, clearly from Nadia. My heart pounded like a trapped bird. I burst into the kitchen. Nadia stood there, glass of water in hand, pretending not to notice me. Everything broke. I yelled. I demanded she drop the charade and admit it. I asked her why she was doing this. Nadia didn't answer. She simply cried and ran out of the house. Panic consumed me. She would call Clara at work. What lie would she tell her? If she lied about the whispering, what else could she lie about? Clara arrived with Nadia. My heart was hammering against my ribs like a sledgehammer. Clara said it hurt her to see me suffer, but it hurt her just as much to hear such serious accusations against her sister. While I tried to prove my sanity, Nadia stood behind Clara, silently nodding and weeping. It was the apotheosis of a lie. I felt trapped in their sophisticated, sick game. I swallowed my rage. Any word now would be merely a scream of anger, and Clara wouldn't hear me. Act 3. The Covert Recording. The next day, having calmed down, I tried to talk to Clara again. I explained how deeply the whispers were penetrating my life. Clara listened, but her decision was final. My issues were too complex, and I needed specialized help, a psychiatric ward. The idea of hospitalization terrified me. It sounded like surrender, like betrayal. I felt like Clara was giving up. I didn't want to leave. Our argument escalated to the breaking point. Instead of continuing the futile fight, I fell silent. I needed another way. My plan was simple. Clara had to see Nadia's oddities with her own eyes. For several days, whenever Nadia acted strangely, quiet mumbling or sudden stops as if listening to a tune only she could hear, I made sure Clara was nearby. I said nothing. I waited for her to notice on her own. My goal wasn't to scare Clara, but to make her doubt. and doubt began to grow. Clara became more observant, and her initial skepticism yielded to rising anxiety. Seeing this shift, I took a further step. I started recording. Every time Nadia did something odd, mumbled, paused, moved her lips silently, I discreetly turned on my phone recorder. I was building my case. One evening, after a particularly hard day, I went to the bathroom. The whispering was relentless. I left my phone on the counter. The recording continued. The whispering resumed. It felt so close, so directed at me, as if Nadia were right outside the door. I tried to discern the words, but again, heard only jumbled fragments. After a few minutes, I left, stopped the recording, and put the phone away. It wasn't until later, desperately reviewing the video in hopes of finding anything, that I made a shocking discovery. In the recording, after I had left, the soft creak of the bathroom door was distinctly audible, and then Nadia's voice. Clearly and unequivocally, she was whispering right outside the door to torment me. I was not losing my mind. Someone was intentionally trying to make me think I was. Now I had the proof. Act 4. The confession and the cost. I gathered all my courage and showed Clara the recordings. I watched her face change. First concern, then shock. The clips of Nadia muttering over the stove or suddenly freezing as if listening to a demon spoke louder than any words. The tension between us eased. We were united in our understanding. That evening, we summoned Nadia to the living room. Clara started gently, expressing concern over her unusual behavior. When I played the recordings, Nadia broke. Her hands fidgeted, her eyes darted around the room. Finally, when Clara gave her a chance to speak, she made a confession, barely audible, like her own whisper. She admitted to whispering outside the bathroom door, in the kitchen, at dinner. She did it intentionally to push me over the edge. Why? Clara demanded. Her voice was sharp, losing its former sisterly softness. Nadia, choking back tears of shame, explained she was afraid. She had read about schizophrenia and convinced herself I could become dangerous. Her whispering was an attempt to protect herself, to drive me toward intensive treatment, toward leaving the house. Clara listened. Horror did not nullify guilt. Fear did not justify cruelty. Trust was ground to dust. Clara, her voice trembling, asked if she understood the pain she had caused us. Nadia apologized. She promised to seek help, but the damage was irreparable. We had to make a tough decision. Nadia had to leave. The next morning, Clara calmly but firmly announced that cohabitation was no longer possible. Nadia listened, submissively, but then her face twisted. Anxiety turned to fury. She began to scream, accusing us of betrayal, of abandoning her, just as her ex-boyfriend had done. Clara, despite how difficult the scene was for her, remained unyielding. This was necessary for our safety and our health. Her pain was evident, but she stood her ground. Nadia left to pack her things, and the house filled with a dead silence that was heavier than any whisper. When Nadia left, Clara tried to hug her. Nadia shoved her sister away. Her eyes held a look suggesting she was not yet finished with her game. She silently mouthed something in my direction, but I couldn't make out the words. She was gone. The house was empty. A silence that once felt suffocating now felt like a blessed peace. Clara severed all contact with her sister, and we began the long, painstaking repair of our broken family and my shattered mind.